Let me get to it here. Morning. So if you see my face get redder, it's just because I talk about Jesus and it gets beet red, and it's just because I'm happy to see you. So that's the only. I'm not blushing, promise. So the thing I wanted to talk about, and first I'm going to pose this question, and I'll get back to it at the end, is did God the Father retire when He put the Son on the throne? Because I see a lot of the times, and this is, I know I'm probably one of the youngest men in the room, so don't spank me, whoop me, nothing like that. So, but this is out of a place of, I hope to become a great father one day, and I hope to pass on my legacy and basically the throne, so to speak, the same way. God said to everyone, look at my son, I'm well pleased. I want that to be the legacy I pass on. And a lot of us go, oh, it's the younger generation. It's all in the younger generation's hands. I did my time. I did what I could. I'm going to pass this on to them. And I see that to be where God has put in my heart to want so much unity for the body and not seeing it. And going, I'm not really going to throw out problems. I'm going to say, well, this is like you were saying, I want the solutions to the problems. I want to see what's going to fix it. In the Army, I'm in the Army. But a lot of the times when there's something happening, if shots get fired, we don't go, oh my God, what was that? Oh my God, I'm getting fired at. You call out exactly what that is. You get all the information out to everyone right now, and you don't go, well, I'm in charge. I'll just give that to them in a note, a pamphlet. I'll pass it down the chain of command. If the sergeant major's right next to you getting fired at, the private's going to hear about it right there because he's going to shout it out. And what I see is that the older generations feel like they have nothing to pass on to the younger generations. They think they're done. We think we did our time. It's now in the younger generation's hands. We need to just, let them do it. They're probably going to get more revelation anyway. Well, I want to propose to you that everything was already made known to us, and it's our job to find it. So it's not the young person's job. Everyone that's been alive for longer than my 23 years has had more revelation than me to be able to pass on things I've never read before, I've never experienced. And so it's not that the new generation has it, it's that it needs to be a culmination, a passing on, a genealogy, and a legacy that we pass. The first word I want to get into here, let me get this all pulled up. I just got on a tangent and should have had it going. But I think that we retire too early, and I'm not talking about work. You can do whatever you want. I don't care. But when it comes to the spiritual, you're alive. As long as you're alive, I'm pretty sure you're still commissioned. I don't find an excuse in the Bible where it says when Moses was 97, he said, you know what, I'm done with God doing His work. He's done so much amazing things in me. I'm just going to let the other guys do it. Until they died, they kept going. And they didn't know when they were going to die. It wasn't, I'm almost 90 years old. That's around the time Americans usually pass. It was, I'm still going. I'm still great and good to go. The first word I want to get to is Joshua 14, 10 through 12. And I'm going to be going through these fast, so if you want to write them down, check them out later. That's awesome. Let's see here. Got them all sticky noted here. All right. Let's see. So it says, now then, just as the Lord promised, He has kept me alive for 45 years since the time He said this to Moses while Israel moved about in the desert. So here I am today, 85 years old. I am still as strong today as the days Moses sent me out. I am just as vigorous to go out into battle now as I was then. Now give me this hill country that the Lord promised me that day. You yourself heard then that the Anakites were there, and their cities were large and fortified. But Lord helping me, I will drive them out just as He said. 85 years old, that's pretty much an ending point for most of us when it comes to anything, let alone going to war, going to battle, things like that. Usually in the Army, 20 years and you want to retire, you want to get out. 3 deployments is pretty huge for most people in active duty service. So that's pretty big to me for 85 years old going, I'm just as strong and vigorous today as I was, and it's because the Lord is going to help me. I will drive them out. This land was the land of the giants. When they sent out the spies to check out the promised land, they came back and said, there's giants there. 10 out of the 12 or 8 out of the 12, they say, like, there's giants here. We can't go possess that land. And here is this one man saying, I am just as strong today because the Lord is going to help me. I will drive them out. This is my land because it's been promised to me, because he saw a lineage that's about to be passed on. He knew that his sons were going to have that land. That's how they thought. Whatever I have is going to be for my next generation. They didn't have any qualms of death. They knew when they died, their son, their new passing on, they were going to get that. That was their inheritance. And so they built up their kingdoms to pass it on because they wanted their lineage to be strong, because they knew it wasn't just a one-person, one-time thing. And so that really spoke to me. And 2 Samuel 11:1, it talks about in the season when kings went to war. Now, this is a huge thing to me because David has already beaten giants. He's already killed lions, the bears. He's a warrior, a man after God's own heart. The thing that showed me is that he retired early. He said, I'm not going to war. I'm going to stay back. That's when he failed. That's when he started being weak, and that's when he started slipping back, is when he said, you know what, I'm done. I'm going to let the armies go take care of this. I've already appointed somebody. I'm already going to have sons that's going to take the throne, and look at the kingdom I built. Go for it. That's a huge indication to me that I'm not supposed to stop ever, because that's when the enemy goes, I waited long enough, here we go. Because he doesn't sleep. The enemy is not a physical being where, he doesn't know everything. I know that, and I don't want to give him too much credit. But he's very crafty in the way he waits. He's very patient because he knows that when you're tired, when you're upset about something, that's when he fills it with your mind. It's not when you're happy. It's not when everything's going swimmingly well. It's when you go, you know what, I'm going to place my sword down. I'm going to rest a little bit. In the Army, we did a ruck march, and we couldn't sling it. It was about a 13, 14-mile ruck march. At the very end, we've been living out in the field for a week. We were exhausted, and we came back, and the whole way back we were ruck marching. We couldn't speak because we had to always be aware. Don't be not vigilant. You can be very vigilant all the time. Don't get complacent. That's when you die. You get complacent. When you think everything's fine, I've done 2 miles, nothing's happened. And we had to carry our weapon ready at all times. And your arms are exhausted. You couldn't sling it over yourself. You couldn't, rest a little bit, give it to your friend. No, you had to hold it at all times, always ready. You slept with it because the drill sergeants would come around and try to steal it from you at night. And if they got it, it sucked. But I slept with mine strapped around me. I strapped that thing around me because it's just the same. I carry this wherever I go in my car. If I don't know if I'm going to use it doing concrete, but it's in my car. It's my sword. It's my weapon. I'm always ready to do this. And so in an age, in time where we go, I hear this all the time, man, the taxes, this and that, the politicians, they're spending on money on this, that, and the other. I wish I cared more. I don't. But the thing is that the money that we're complaining about being spent is just as dumb to me as, God providing bulletproof vests, weapons, armor for all of us, and us not using them, us putting them to the side. I think that would be an incredible waste of the things He's purchased for us to have, the protection, the power, the words, the knowledge, everything He said He's given us for free. And yet we can complain about monetary things that are in the flesh that don't matter. But our souls will be more than happy to place that armor on the ground because I'm tired today. I don't really want to tell that guy at the gas station about Jesus. And I'm not getting on to you as much as I am about me because there's a lot of times that I'm just very tired and I don't want to talk. So today's not that day. I want to talk. So that's just what I see. And David and Goliath and Jonathan as armor bearer, the armies on both of those occasions were sitting there waiting. They were way more prepared than David, way more prepared than Jonathan at those times. It was an army fully dressed and ready for battle, and they did not go to war. But it was those couple people that said, no, we still have to move. We still have to go. We're not done. We have to. God said He's with me. I'm going to keep going, and even if we get killed, God is for me. And they were probably in their older years. David and everything was, he was young. And the older guys are like, we've done this. We can't, we've already looked at sized Goliath up. We're going to wait. And David kept going. He's like, not even your armor. I have my own armor. You keep your armor for battle, because the king wanted to give his armor up. The king didn't even go out to war there either. And so what I see is that in both of those, there's armies of people that are completely ready for battle, ready to go, because God was with all the other Israelites just as much as David. It wasn't David. He was a shepherd. Who cares? All these guys are trained military personnel. They didn't do anything, and it was David. And so what I'm seeing is like they're retiring early. You know what? It's not worth it to get into this land that God's promised us. We'll wait. And just like you said, I want what God has for me right now. Even if I go down, like I'm okay with that, because I'll get the promise either way. I'd rather have a promise than wait for someone to do it. And it's not in the younger generation. I don't want somebody I'm teaching. I do want them to surpass me, but I don't want to wait until they surpass me to do great things. Because what was my life? It was nothing. If I wait for other people to live for Jesus before I will, it means I'm irrelevant in the situation if they could get it done without me. God had a purpose for you here, to put on the armor and to always be going after Him. And so I feel like retiring early is not okay. Not okay with that. So the legacy. God it says all throughout Scripture, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. I'm sure they would have known who Abraham was to not have to say Isaac and Jacob. But what I see there is people go, oh, God's the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, but He's not the God of, Jesus, Todd, and Cameron, my father. He's not that. He's not that God, because that was a long time ago. That was a long time ago. God worked in those three because He had a huge thing in the Bible for them, but not now, not now. Like you have to make something of yourself, but I don't see too many lineages of Christians. A lot of us are first generation Christians. I grew up with Jesus all my life, but I've never, until recently, experienced Him the way I had these past couple of years, experienced Him the way I've experienced Him, to where I can say, you know what, now I have all the tools to pass on. I'm like, there's still something, I knew Jesus, but I didn't know His Spirit, and there's something else I need to learn. But now I have something to pass on. We had a family friend trying to give me advice about marriage and things like that. It turned into a session of this is what you don't have. You need to get this. You need to get this. And it wasn't really a motivational thing. But what made me sad is he kept saying the verse about how God says a wise man leaves an inheritance to his children. And that's in that same mindset of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. They knew that their lineage would get passed on. Everything they worked for would be passed on. And you wanted to leave them something. But what his mind was stuck on was a monetary thing. He saw that I didn't have much, and he said, oof, I wish I would have had a lot when I started. And what I said was, your kids are sitting right here in this room with us right now. Your 2 sons are right here out of the 4 kids. This one is after Jesus, and this one has been to heaven multiple times in the Spirit, going after Jesus. You have not failed. You have passed on something to your children that will take root and go farther than the monetary will, because the son squandered money, but the identity, authority, and purity that he restored to him with the cloak, the ring, and the shoes, that's only something that could have been given from a heart of a father to the next father in the Spirit. Couldn't give that monetarily. And those are the things that we're supposed to be passing on in these generations. And you look at, Melchizedek, and one man honors Melchizedek with his tithe, and then Levi gets the credit for it. Generations down, he gets the credit for tithing to Melchizedek. That blew me away, going, what I do now, what I continue to cultivate now, what I don't give up, almost like a garden, I don't give up going, man, I didn't yield anything, you might have better luck at it. I'm going to keep doing something because I know down the road, if I instill that, they're going to have that. And that's the inheritance that I've passed on. We're still in a battle. God says we're in a battle every day. I think like this every day, not like I'm paranoid, but every day I'm going to get attacked. I'm not thinking the devil's not going to take an opportunity. I'm not going to be like that. So I have to have my armor on every day. After